Hello and welcome back. In this lesson, I want to talk specifically about the AWS CSA exam itself. So I have some important notes about the exam in the appendix. So over in the Orion papers, let's click on appendix and then on the About the Exam tab. So about the exam, well, the length of the exam is 80 minutes. You'll have 80 minutes to answer a total of 60 questions. The format of these questions are multiple choice, and the cost of the exam is $150 USD. Now, to register for the exam, you can follow this link here and create an account and schedule a time to take the exam. Now, it is important to know that the exam must be taken at a designated testing center, and these are located in or near most major cities around the world. Results for the exam are provided immediately after completing the exam. So that's actually really nice. You finish up the exam, you click the button to submit the exam, and within a few seconds, you have the results of whether or not you pass or failed. Now, I can tell you those few seconds that you wait can be a little stressful, but when you see the results page with the word pass, it's a great relief and great satisfaction as well. Now, how about preparing for the exam? Well, I have a couple of tips here, and basically what you should do is you follow along and work your way through this particular course. So you should watch and follow along with all video lessons. And what I mean by follow along is not just watch, but also have an AWS environment opened and follow along with what I'm doing in the particular videos. This is really important for getting in-depth, hands-on practice using AWS. Now, we also provide live labs as a part of this course, which you can also use to follow along, in which we will provision AWS environments for you in order to accomplish certain tasks. So again, with that, you should complete every lab at least once. What I generally recommend is that you should be able to go into any labs, and this is before you take the exam, go into any lab and be able to do it without looking at the walkthrough. So have the task that is set out for the particular lab and just go about doing it quickly and efficiently without having to look up how to do it. You should pass every section quiz that is listed throughout this course. So over here, you're going to see that there's going to be a quiz at the end of each section. You should pass every single quiz, and you should strive to get 100% on all of those various quizzes. You should also pass the final practice exam a total of 3 times. So there's going to be a final practice exam at the bottom of the course, and you should look to pass that 3 times, which is going to be a requirement for you to achieve 100%. You should also memorize the instructor note card deck or create and memorize your own, and I'll show you how to access and do that in the next video. You should also read the provided AWS white papers. Now, this should not be overlooked, and I feel that it often is. Now, we provide here in the download section all various white papers that you should read. Now, some of these are as short as 10 to 15 pages, others are as long as 50 to 70 pages. So this may seem like a lot of extra work, right? So you've followed now this entire course, you've gone through all the labs, you've taken all the quizzes, and now you're looking at having to read possibly hundreds of pages of actual text to further develop your knowledge of AWS. But here's the thing. In this course here, we provide you with a ton of information about AWS, but we cannot go into every little nuance that may be covered in the AWS exam. Otherwise, the course would be over 100 hours long. But what reading the white papers does is, one, if you read the white papers after you've gone through the course, it then supplements everything you've learned in the course. Everything will make a little more sense. It will add to your knowledge base. It will add to having those key concepts in memory. And they just may help provide you with some of those little nuances that we can't always cover in the course. You should also use the Orion papers for study and review. So this is a great resource here. Use the Orion papers. Use it to memorize diagram formats. Use it to go through and quiz yourself. And most of all, have fun with it. And also, participate in the Linux Academy community or start and participate in a study group. And I'll go into a little more about that in the next lesson. Now, also, I have some exam tips and tricks. A while back, I wrote a blog post called Tips and Tricks for Taking the AWS Certification Exam. So you can click on the link here and it'll open up in another tab. And this will be the blog post that I wrote about what to do basically on the day of the exam. So how do you prepare yourself that day? What do you do when you actually go to the exam center? What to expect when you go in and sit down and hit the start button on the exam? All sorts of tips and tricks to help you throughout that entire process of actually sitting for the exam. So I highly recommend you give this a read either now or towards the end of the course. So that's just a little bit about the AWS exam, and we'll revisit this at the end of the course again. And with that, we'll conclude this lesson. Thank you for watching. You may now move on.